Today, crypto markets cool down from a weekend rally fueled by White House announcements. Tether appoints a new chief legal officer in a move to boost transparency. And Katrina Paglia of Pantera discusses how a U.S. crypto reserve could impact digital asset prices. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Crypto markets are starting the week in the red, giving up Sunday's gains driven by a whirlwind of crypto-related White House updates. We'll get to all of that in just a bit. But first, as of noon Eastern, Bitcoin traded at $90,000 after surging to just shy of the $95,000 mark on Sunday. Ether and Cardano each dropped around 7%. Crypto-tied stocks, however, outperforming the S&P 500 index at midday. Okay, let's catch you up on the latest from the White House over the weekend. President Trump says that the U.S. will move forward with what he calls a crypto strategic reserve. Now, this is a shift in language from what was previously being referred to as a stockpile. The difference being a reserve implies actively trading cryptocurrencies, while a stockpile involves holding the digital assets the U.S. previously acquired through things like criminal seizures. Trump said the reserve would include Ripple, Solana, and Cardano, then followed up in another post saying that Bitcoin and Ether will be the heart of the reserve. Now, this move is in line with actions that the president took earlier in his presidency when he ordered the creation of a working group led by his crypto advisor, David Sachs, to consider a strategic stockpile of digital assets. But it also raised some concern among those in the crypto industry who believe that the U.S. should only use Bitcoin for its reserve. Next, the White House plans to host its first crypto summit on Friday. David Sachs said that guests will include CEOs and investors, as well as the president's working group on digital assets. Trump will host the event while Sachs will preside as chair. The industry largely came out in support of Trump through contributions and endorsements after he campaigned on crypto as an issue. Last, stablecoin issuer Tether announced a new chief financial officer as part of a transparency initiative. Tether says that Simon M.C. Williams joins the firm after 20 years of leading audits of investment management firms. The company says that with M.C. Williams' appointment, Tether is committing to complete a full audit. Now, some in the past have raised concerns about Tether's stability and its transparency around its U.S. dollar reserves. Tether stands as the largest stablecoin by market cap, but this comes as U.S. lawmakers are prioritizing pushing stablecoin legislation through Congress, a move that some have said could favor U.S.-based issuers like Circle. Now, earlier this year, Tether announced that it would be moving its headquarters to El Salvador. All right, let's talk about President Trump's comments on a strategic crypto reserve. I spoke with Katrina Paglia of Pantera to get her take on what this potential reserve would mean for prices, especially those altcoins like Ether, who got name dropped by the president. So we got this news over the weekend from President Trump advancing the idea of a strategic crypto reserve. First, let's talk about if this announcement was what investors had really been waiting for, because we did see a spike in prices after multiple days of declines. Is this U.S. crypto reserve really the next catalyst?
I think so. I think we've been looking for it, expecting it coming out of the executive order from last month. It was a little surprising that it was a basket, actually, instead of just pure Bitcoin, which I think is what was built into the market. So, as you said, it was interesting. The prices kind of spiked. They've pulled back already today a bit, but I think expected, but with a twist.
To your point, the other big part of that announcement was the fact that it would focus on a number of digital assets, not just Bitcoin. We're seeing some mixed feelings about that. What do you make of the industry reaction to multiple cryptocurrencies potentially finding their way into this reserve? And does that go against what many people were expecting when Trump spoke at Bitcoin 2024?
The reaction's been very mixed, right? So some people are thinking, the government shouldn't be getting into speculative investing, and this is just a step too far. And if we are going to have reserves, it should be something less volatile and maybe just a single asset class versus, do we need a portfolio manager now to pay attention to this and work in the White House and manage our crypto exposure? So I think it's been very mixed and not what everybody was expecting when he did speak at the Bitcoin conference when this whole crypto campaign really kicked off. So some people really like it. It further supports the industry because the president is backing multiple currencies at this point, or digital assets at this point. But I do think largely the majority of people were expecting just Bitcoin.
Is this likely to lead to a boon for altcoins? I'm especially curious about Ethereum because it's really struggled to find a compelling catalyst for investors in recent months. So is this the use case that investors have been asking for?
I don't know if the use case is being part of a U.S. strategic reserve, but I definitely think it underscores these tokens are very highly market cap, right? These are kind of in the top 10, the five of them are in the top 10, I think, from a market cap perspective for digital assets. So I think it just gives more validity to it. It puts it more in the spotlight, more where larger institutions, like we've been in this space for 10 years and we're starting to see so much more institutional adoption. So putting all of these coins out there with the US government backing it, it's just going to, allow people to understand them more, learn about them more, and want to participate in our industry more.
Should investors expect increased volatility in crypto while these talks around a reserve play out? And is that the main driver, or is the macro environment equally important here?
I think the macro environment is something that we need to keep our eye on because there's a lot of hesitation and trepidation around the tariff talk recently. So the markets have significantly pulled back as people are waiting to see what's actually going to happen there. And crypto in general is a more volatile asset class than traditional stocks. So you're going to see, like, as much as the macro economy is swinging, crypto is going to continue to swing a little bit more volatility driven. But, the highs are going to be higher and the lows are going to be lower. But I think we're just focusing on the macro area more than crypto specifically right now.
How would something like a U.S. reserve affect institutional adoption? Is this almost a green light if we don't have full regulatory clarity?
I think it's definitely a green light. Like I just said, the institutional adoption and the conversations that we're having are increasingly positive, and there's a lot more outreach to us from the people that maybe we weren't hearing from a couple of years ago. So it's just one more step in the direction that President Trump has been supporting the industry, starting from the campaign, the executive order. The SEC has already also started taking major strides to help make the industry a little bit calmer and moving in a different direction than we had previously seen under prior administration.
So you mentioned that you're having conversations with institutions. What does that look like? Because, from conversations that I had, it seemed like SAB 121 was really standing in the way of banks being able to custody cryptocurrencies. And that, when we saw that go away, that some banks might reevaluate their strategies. But what kind of institutions are you speaking to, and what are they saying?
So it's traditional institutions that you would think that are interested in asset management. And the conversations are really interesting. They're actually asking us to educate them on what the use cases are. What are we looking for from a venture perspective as we invest our LPs capital going forward? And what is the use case today versus what it was when Pantera first launched 10 years ago? So they want us to educate them to then educate their boards, their investment committees, their LPs, if it's a fund-to-fund type of thing, because they want to be able to position our, crypto and an investment in the blockchain industry for them. So we're doing a lot of kind of investor education, outreach, conversations. Those are the conversations we're having.
One last thing before we go. Crypto exchange Kraken saying today that the SEC is dismissing its lawsuit against the company. We'll be speaking with Kraken's global head of policy and government relations about that news, and we'll have that for you tomorrow. Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but we'll be back again on Tuesday, and we'll see you then.